"Mom, you live like a broke college student," Ethan said, his eyes scanning my tiny apartment with disgust. He stood near the doorway, wearing the designer jacket I'd bought him last Christmas. His fiancée Madison giggled behind him, her manicured nails covering her mouth. "I mean seriously," he continued, "how can you expect me to bring friends here? It's embarrassing." My chest tightened. I wanted to remind him that this same apartment had sheltered him through college. That these walls had witnessed me skipping meals so he could eat. That I'd worked double shifts at the diner so he could graduate debt-free. But I said nothing. I just smiled and nodded. He used to hug me at this doorway. Now he wouldn't even sit on my couch. "We should go," Madison whispered, tugging his arm. "Your mom probably has things to do." They left quickly and I stood there alone. The apartment suddenly felt smaller than ever. But Ethan didn't know everything. He didn't know about the letter sitting in my drawer. The one that would change everything. Soon he'd understand what sacrifice really meant. Soon he'd regret every cruel word. After they left, I sat on my worn couch and cried. Not because of the apartment but because I'd lost my son somewhere along the way. I remembered when Ethan was 7, and we lived in an even smaller place. He'd drawn a picture of us holding hands under a rainbow. "You're the best mom in the world," he'd written in crooked letters. What happened to that boy? I looked around at my life. The cracked ceiling. The radiator that clanged at night. The single window that overlooked a parking lot. To Ethan this was failure. To me it was survival. Every piece of furniture told a story. The coffee table I'd found on the street and refinished. The bookshelf I'd built myself. The photos of Ethan through the years, smiling, graduating, succeeding. I'd given him everything. My time, my money, my dreams. And now he was ashamed of me. But as I wiped my tears, I thought about the letter again. The one from Morrison & Associates law firm. I hadn't opened it yet because I was scared. Scared of hope. Tomorrow, I decided. Tomorrow I'd open it. The next morning I made coffee and sat at my small kitchen table. The envelope sat in front of me, official and intimidating. My hands shook as I tore it open. "Dear Mrs. Grace Turner," it began. "You are listed as the sole beneficiary of the estate of Mr. Harold Grant, deceased." I dropped the letter. Harold Grant. My old employer from 15 years ago. I'd cleaned offices at Grant Properties for 3 years. Harold had been kind to me, always remembering my name, asking about Ethan. When his company expanded, he'd given me a generous bonus and a handwritten note thanking me for my hard work. But why would he leave me anything? I picked up the letter again, my heart pounding. The estate includes a residential property located at 47 Riverside Manor Drive. Please contact our office to arrange the transfer of ownership and keys. Riverside Manor Drive. That was the wealthy neighborhood across town. The one with gates and lake views. This had to be a mistake. I read the letter 3 more times. Each time it said the same thing. Name. That address. Beneficiary. I grabbed my phone with trembling fingers. The receptionist at Morrison & Associates scheduled me for that afternoon. I could barely focus at work, serving coffee and clearing tables at the diner. "You okay, Grace?" my coworker Linda asked. "You seem distracted." "I think my life just changed," I whispered. At 3 o'clock I stood outside the law firm, smoothing my old coat. Inside everything gleamed. Marble floors. Leather chairs. Felt out of place. Mrs. Turner. A young lawyer named Sarah Chen greeted me warmly. "Please come to my office." She led me to a room with windows overlooking the city. On her desk sat a thick folder with my name on it. "Mr. Grant's will was very specific," she explained. "He wanted you to have the property at Riverside Manor. However, there's a condition." My stomach dropped. "What condition?" "You cannot sell or transfer the property for 1 year. Mr. Grant wanted to ensure you actually lived in it. He left a note explaining why." She handed me a small envelope. Inside was a card in Harold's handwriting. Grace, you saved my life once. Now I'm giving you yours back. I stared at the note, confused. Saved his life. When? Sarah smiled gently. Do you remember an accident about 16 years ago? On Route 7. Suddenly it came back. Rainy night. Car in a ditch. I'd been driving home from my shift when I saw it. Without thinking, I'd pulled over and called for help. The man inside had been unconscious. I'd stayed until the ambulance arrived. That was Harold. I whispered. Yes. He'd had a heart attack while driving. The paramedics said if you hadn't called when you did, he wouldn't have made it. He never forgot you. Tears filled my eyes. I'd never known who that man was. I just did what anyone would do. The property is worth approximately $1.2 million, Sarah continued. It's fully paid off. No mortgage. The utilities are set up in a trust fund that covers the first 5 years. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't real. Here are the keys, she said, sliding them across the desk. And the address for the realtor who'll meet you there tomorrow at 10. I held those keys like they might disappear. Heavy. Real. Green. That night I couldn't sleep. Kept looking at the address. 47 Riverside Manor Drive. I'd driven past that neighborhood before, admiring the houses from outside the gates. I thought about telling Ethan, but something stopped me. I remembered his phone call last week, the one I'd accidentally overheard when he didn't know I was in the room. Yeah, she's still in that dump, he'd told Madison. Honestly, we might need to look into assisted living soon. She can barely afford rent. He'd laughed. Actually laughed about putting me away. My own son had written me off as a burden. As someone to manage, not love. No, I decided. I wouldn't tell him yet. Let him think what he wanted. Let him believe I was helpless. When the truth came out, it would mean so much more. I wanted to see his face when he realized everything. I wanted him to understand what he'd lost by losing faith in me. Maybe it was petty. Maybe it was wrong. But I was tired of being invisible. For once, I wanted to matter. The next morning, I took the bus to Riverside Manor. The gates were open, and a security guard waved me through when I gave my name. The houses were enormous. Perfect lawns. 3-car garages. I felt like I'd entered a different world. Number 47 sat at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. My breath caught when I saw it. 3 stories. Stone and glass. Circular driveway. A balcony overlooking a private lake. This couldn't be mine. A woman in a business suit waited on the porch. Mrs. Turner. I'm Rebecca Cole, the realtor. Shall we go inside? My legs felt weak as I climbed the steps. Rebecca unlocked the door and we entered. The foyer was bigger than my entire apartment. Marble floors. Chandelier. Curved staircase leading up. The house has 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a study, a chef's kitchen, and a finished basement, Rebecca explained. Mr. Grant maintained it beautifully. Everything is in perfect condition. I walked through like I was dreaming. Each room was more beautiful than the last. Hardwood floors. Crown molding. Windows everywhere letting in golden light. Why would he give me this? I asked Rebecca, my voice shaking. She smiled. I met Mr. Grant once, shortly before he passed. He told me you were the kindest person he'd ever known. He said true kindness is rare, and it should be rewarded. We walked through the kitchen. Granite countertops. Stainless steel appliances. A breakfast nook with bay windows overlooking the lake. There's something else, Rebecca said. Mr. Grant left instructions for the study. There's a locked cabinet in there. This key opens it. She handed me a small brass key. The study was on the 2nd floor. Dark wood shelves lined the walls, filled with books. A massive desk sat near the window. And in the corner a locked cabinet. My hands trembled as I inserted the key. Inside were photo albums, documents, and a letter addressed to me. I'll give you privacy, Rebecca whispered, leaving the room. I sat at the desk and opened the letter. Dear Grace, it began. If you're reading this, I'm gone. But I need you to know something. The night you saved me, I was at my lowest point. My wife had just died. My children had stopped calling. I'd lost my will to live. That heart attack felt like an answer. But then you appeared. A stranger who cared. You didn't know who I was. You just helped. That night reminded me that good people still exist. You gave me 5 more years of life, Grace. 5 years I used to make peace with my children, to travel, to laugh again. This house is my thank you. But more than that, it's my way of saying you matter. You've always mattered. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Live beautifully. You've earned it. I sobbed into my hands. This man, this stranger I'd helped without thinking, had seen me. Really seen me. Over the next 2 weeks, I quietly moved into the house. I didn't tell anyone except Linda at work, who squealed with joy. Grace, this is incredible, she said. When do you tell Ethan? Soon, I said. But I wasn't sure when. I bought new furniture piece by piece. Nothing extravagant, just comfortable and nice. I hung curtains. I filled the kitchen with food. I planted flowers in the garden. Each morning, I woke up in the master bedroom, sunlight streaming through tall windows. I'd make coffee in my beautiful kitchen and sit on the back porch, watching ducks on the lake. It felt like someone else's life. But slowly, I began to believe it was mine. Meanwhile, Ethan called once. Hey Mom, can you watch our dog next weekend? We're going to Napa. Sure, I said. But you'll need to drop him at my new place. New place? Did you finally get a better apartment? Something like that. I'll text you the address. I heard the confusion in his voice. But let him wonder. The following Saturday I waited. This was it. The moment I'd imagined 100 times. Ethan's car pulled up slowly. I watched from the window as he checked the address 3 times on his phone. Madison stared up at the house, mouth open. I opened the door before they could knock. Hi, sweetheart. Come in. Mom, Ethan said slowly. Whose house is this? Mine. He laughed nervously. What do you mean, yours? Are you house sitting? No. I own it. Madison's eyes went wide. You own this. I nodded and stepped aside. Come see. They walked through like tourists in a museum. Ethan kept touching things as if checking they were real. The granite counters. The leather couch. The chandelier. I don't understand, he said. How can you afford this? Did you win the lottery? No. Someone left it to me. Someone who appreciated kindness. His face changed then. Confusion turned to suspicion. Who would leave you a house? Question stung. As if I was so unworthy that this had to be a mistake. An old employer, I said calmly. Someone I helped once. Helped how? Ethan pressed. What did you do? I saved his life. Silence. Madison touched Ethan's arm. Your mom's a hero. That's amazing. But Ethan didn't look amazed. He looked angry. After they left, I felt hollow. I'd expected surprise, maybe even happiness for me. Instead, I got interrogation. Linda called that evening. How did it go? He couldn't believe it, I said. Not in a good way. Give him time, Grace. This is a shock. But Ethan didn't need time. He needed something else entirely. The next day, he showed up unannounced. I was in the garden, planting roses. Mom, we need to talk. I stood brushing dirt from my hands. About what? About this house. I checked the property records. It's worth over $1 million. I know. And you're just going to live here. Alone. That's the plan. He paced across the lawn. This is crazy. You should sell it. Invest the money. You could live comfortably in a normal place and have savings. I can't sell it for a year. It's in the will. His eyes narrowed. What will? Let me see it. No. Mom, I'm trying to help you. What if this is a scam? What if someone tricked you? I laughed bitterly. You think I'm too stupid to know the difference. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. We stared at each other, strangers in my beautiful garden. Over the following weeks, Ethan became obsessed. He called daily, asking questions about the house, about Harold Grant, about the will. Did you sign anything? Are there debts attached to the property? What about taxes? I answered patiently at first. Then I stopped answering at all. Madison called once, apologetic. Grace, I'm sorry. Ethan's just worried about you. Is he? Or is he worried about something else? She was quiet. He's stressed. His business isn't doing well. There it was. The truth. Ethan's tech startup was failing. He'd invested everything, borrowed from friends. Now he was desperate. And he saw my house as a solution. Tell him I said no, I told Madison. Whatever he's planning to ask, the answer is no. Grace, please. He's drowning. He called me a broke college student, I said quietly. He was ashamed to bring friends to my apartment. He laughed about putting me in assisted living. I heard him, Madison. I heard everything. Silence on the other end. Then softly, I didn't know. Now you do. Hung up. That night, I sat in Harold's study, surrounded by his books. I understood now why he'd put the 1-year restriction in the will. He knew someone might pressure me to sell. He wanted me to have time to root myself here. To build a life that was truly mine. 2 months passed. I settled into a routine. I quit the diner and volunteered at the local library instead. I took painting classes. I made friends with my neighbors. Mrs. Chen next door brought me homemade dumplings. Welcome to the neighborhood, Grace. We're so glad you're here. For the first time in years I felt seen. Not as someone's mother or someone's employee. Just as Grace. As myself. Ethan stopped calling. Madison sent a few texts, but I didn't respond. Then one night my doorbell rang at 9 o'clock. It was Ethan. His eyes were red. His clothes were wrinkled. Can I come in? Almost said no. But he looked broken, so I stepped aside. We sat in the living room. He stared at his hands. My company folded, he said. Everything's gone. I lost all the investors' money. Madison left me. Part of me wanted to say, I told you so. But I just listened. I was so sure I'd succeed, he continued. I was so sure I was better than this life. Better than struggling. Better than me. I asked quietly. He looked up, tears streaming. I was an idiot, Mom. A cruel, stupid idiot. Why did you come here, Ethan? Because I didn't know where else to go. He wiped his face. I lost my apartment. I'm staying on a friend's couch. And I realized something. What? You're the only person who ever really loved me. And I treated you like garbage. The words hung between us. True and terrible. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I wanted to hug him. To tell him everything would be okay. But I couldn't. Not yet. Do you know why I lived in that small apartment? Yes. He shook his head. Because every extra dollar I made went to you. Your college. Your car. Your business loan that you never paid back. I chose that apartment so you could have more. Mom. And you mocked me for it. You were ashamed of me. I know. Do you? Do you really understand what you did? He nodded, crying harder. I was jealous. Of your kindness. Of how people loved you. Even living in that tiny place you were happy. You had friends. You had purpose. And I had money and success, and I was miserable. So I lashed out. I'd never heard him speak so honestly. Ethan, I said carefully, I'm not going to give you money. His face crumpled. I wasn't asking. Yes, you were. Maybe not with words, but you were. And I'm telling you now, I won't enable you anymore. Then why did you let me in? Because you're my son. And because this is what you need to learn. You can't buy happiness. You can't fake purpose. You have to earn it. He stared at me like I was speaking another language. When I saved Harold Grant, I didn't know who he was, I continued. I didn't expect a reward. I helped because it was the right thing to do. That's what real success looks like, Ethan. It's not money or status. It's being the kind of person others remember with gratitude. How do I become that? You start small. You work. You help others. You stop thinking the world owes you something. He nodded slowly. Can I ask you something? What? Can I stay here? Just for a little while. I promise I'll get a job. I'll pay rent. I just need time to figure things out. Every instinct screamed at me to say no. He'd hurt me. He'd used me. But he was still my son. You can stay in the guest room, I said. For 3 months. That's it. Relief flooded his face. Thank you, Mom. I swear I'll. There are rules, I interrupted. You get a job within 2 weeks. Any job. You help with the house. Cooking, cleaning, yard work. And you see a therapist. Non-negotiable. Okay. Anything. And Ethan. If you disrespect me once, if you take me for granted even a little, you're out. Understood. Understood. That night I lay awake, wondering if I'd made a mistake. Was I enabling him again? Or was I giving him the chance he needed to grow? I thought about Harold's letter. About kindness being rare and worth rewarding. Maybe this was my way of honoring that. Not by being harsh, but by being better than the hurt I'd received. The next morning, Ethan was up early. He'd made coffee and was sitting at the kitchen table with a laptop, searching job listings. Morning, Mom. Morning. I already applied to 6 places. Retail mostly. I figured I'd start there. I poured myself coffee, surprised. That's good. I also looked up therapists. There's someone nearby who takes my insurance. I called and left a message. Maybe he was serious. Maybe this could work. The first week was awkward. We moved around each other carefully, like strangers learning to share space. Ethan got a job at a local electronics store. It was nothing glamorous, minimum wage, but he showed up every day. He came home tired, made dinner and helped clean. One evening, I found him in the garden, pulling weeds. You don't have to do that, I said. I want to. I noticed you've been working on this space. It's beautiful. We work side by side in silence. It reminded me of when he was little, before everything got complicated. Mom, he said after a while, can I ask why you didn't tell me about the house right away? I considered lying. But what was the point? Because I wanted you to see who you'd become. I wanted you to face your own words. He flinched. That's fair. And honestly, part of me wanted you to hurt the way you hurt me. Did it work? A little. But it also made me sad. Because I realized I'd lost you somewhere along the way. He pulled another weed. You didn't lose me. I lost myself. It was the truest thing he'd said in years. Months passed. Ethan kept his word. He worked, went to therapy, and slowly he changed. I saw it in small ways. How he thanked me for dinner. How he asked about my day. How he fixed the loose railing on the porch without being asked. One Saturday we were painting the guest room together. He'd picked a soft blue color. I like this house, he said suddenly. Not because it's big or fancy, but because it feels like you. Warm and real. Smiled. Harold would have liked hearing that. I wish I could thank him. You can. By becoming the person he believed in when he gave me this. Ethan nodded. I'm trying, Mom. I really am. I know you are. That evening, Rebecca the Realtor called. Grace, I wanted to let you know the 1-year restriction is almost up. In 3 weeks, you'll be free to sell or transfer the property if you choose. I'm not selling, I said immediately. I didn't think so. You've made it a home. After I hung up, I realized something. The house had never been about money or status. It had been about showing me and everyone else what I was worth. Harold had given me more than a house. He'd given me proof that kindness matters. That I mattered. One night, Ethan and I were sitting on the back porch, watching the sunset over the lake. Mom, can I tell you something? Of course. I talked to Madison yesterday. She called to apologize. I stayed quiet, letting him continue. She said she was wrong to judge you. That she got caught up in the lifestyle, the image. She wished she'd defended you. What did you say? That I understood. Because I did the same thing. He paused. She asked if we might try again. What do you want? I don't know. Part of me misses her. But part of me knows I'm different now. I don't want to go back to who I was. Then don't, I said simply. You get to choose who you become, Ethan. Every single day. He smiled. When did you get so wise? I always was. You just weren't listening. We laughed and it felt good. Real. Thank you for not giving up on me, he said. Thank you for not giving up on yourself. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in oranges and pinks. And for the first time in years I felt complete. The 1-year mark came and went. I stayed in the house. Ethan stayed in the guest room, though now it felt less like charity and more like family. He got promoted at work. He started taking business classes at the community college. He even began dating someone new, a teacher named Sarah who was kind and grounded. One Sunday, Ethan made breakfast. Pancakes, eggs, fresh fruit. What's the occasion? Asked. No occasion. Just wanted to. We ate together talking about our weeks. Felt normal. Izzy. Mom, I've been thinking, he said. I want to pay rent. Real rent. I have savings now, and it's not right for me to stay here for free. Ethan. Please. Let me do this. I need to contribute. I thought about arguing, but I saw the determination in his eyes. This wasn't about money. It was about dignity. Okay, I agreed. But we'll put it in a savings account. For your future. He smiled. Deal. Later that day we walked through the neighborhood together. Mrs. Chen waved from her garden. Mr. Patel, who lived across the street, stopped to chat about the upcoming block party. Your mom's the best thing that's happened to this street, Mr. Patel told Ethan. She organized the whole community garden project. Ethan looked at me with surprise. You did. It was just an idea, I said, embarrassed. She got everyone involved, Mrs. Chen added. Even the teenagers. This neighborhood feels like a family now. As we walked home, Ethan was quiet. What are you thinking? He asked. That you've always been extraordinary. And I was too blind to see it. 6 months later, Ethan moved out. Not because we fought, but because he was ready. He'd saved enough for a small apartment. Nothing fancy but his own space. Are you sure? I asked as we packed his things. Yeah. I love living here, Mom. But I need to prove to myself that I can make it on my own. Really on my own. Understood. This was part of his growth. On moving day, we loaded boxes into his car. Sarah helped, cheerful and efficient. I liked her. She saw Ethan for who he was becoming, not who he'd been. Thank you for everything, Ethan said, hugging me tight. I know I don't say it enough, but you saved my life. Just like you saved Harold's. You saved your own life, sweetheart. I just gave you a place to do it. After he left, the house felt quiet. But not empty. Just peaceful. I made tea and sat in Harold's study. I'd started writing there, journaling about my journey. Maybe one day I'd share it. Or maybe it was just for me. Either way, I'd found something I'd been searching for my whole life. Contentment. A year passed. Then another. The house became truly mine, filled with memories and laughter. Ethan visited every Sunday. Sometimes with Sarah, sometimes alone. We'd have dinner, play board games, talk for hours. He'd started his own business again, but this time it was different. Smaller, more sustainable. He wasn't chasing money or status. He was building something real. I'm profitable, he told me one evening, beaming. Not rich, but stable. That's better than rich, I said. That's secure. He introduced Sarah to me officially, asking for my blessing before proposing. I cried happy tears and said yes. Their wedding was small, in the garden behind my house. 50 people, all people who mattered. Simple and beautiful. As I watched Ethan and Sarah exchange vows, I thought about how far we'd come. From that awful moment in my tiny apartment to this. To healing. To love. During the reception, Ethan gave a speech. I want to thank my mom, he said, his voice cracking. For never giving up on me. For showing me what real strength looks like. This house, this family, this life. It's all because she chose kindness when she could have chosen anger. Mom, I love you. Everyone clapped, but I barely heard it through my tears. 5 years after Harold gave me the house, I decided to honor him properly. I worked with the city to create a scholarship fund in his name. It would help students from low-income families attend college. I funded it partially myself and partially through donations. At the ceremony, I told Harold's story. About the accident. About his kindness. About how one moment of decency had changed my life. Harold Grant believed that good people should be rewarded, I said to the crowd. But more than that, he believed good people should be empowered to create more good. That's what this scholarship is about. Paying forward what was given to me. Ethan was in the audience, crying. So was Sarah and Linda and all my friends from the neighborhood. After the ceremony, a young woman approached me. Mrs. Turner, I'm Harold's daughter, Elizabeth. Hugged her. I've wanted to meet you. My dad wrote about you in his journals, she said. About how you saved him. Not just physically but emotionally. After my mom died, he was lost. But you reminded him that strangers could be kind. That the world wasn't all bad. He gave me so much more than a house, I said. I know. He wanted you to understand your worth. And I think you do now. She was right. I did. Now, at 62, I sit in my beautiful home and reflect on everything. The struggles. Pain. The unexpected blessings. Ethan has 2 children now, my grandchildren. They run through this house, laughing and playing, filling it with joy. Grandma, tell us the story again, my granddaughter Emma begs. About the mean words and the big surprise. So I do. I tell them about the small apartment, about kindness, about how one person's gratitude changed everything. The lesson isn't about the house. I always finish. It's about being good even when it's hard. Even when no one's watching. Like when I helped Tommy find his toy. Emma asked. Exactly like that. Sarah and Ethan watch from the kitchen, smiling. We've built something beautiful together. Not just a family but a legacy. Last week Ethan brought me flowers. Just because, he said. Just because why? Just because you're you. And that's enough. Those words meant more than the house, more than anything. Because they meant he finally understood. I'd always been enough. Just took time for him to see it. This morning I walked through the garden. The roses are blooming, the ones Ethan and I planted years ago. I thought about Harold wherever he is. Thank you, I whispered. You gave me more than you'll ever know. The house isn't just mine anymore. It belongs to all of us. To Ethan, who learned to value what matters. To Sarah, who showed him what real love looks like. To my grandchildren, who'll grow up knowing that kindness has power. Sometimes I look at old photos of my tiny apartment. I don't feel ashamed anymore. That place taught me resilience. It taught me that home isn't about size or status. It's about love. But this house, this beautiful house, taught me something too. Taught me that sometimes, kindness does get rewarded. That good things can happen to good people. That worth isn't determined by money, but by character. I kept Harold's letter in a frame in his study. Sometimes I read it when I need reminding. You matter, it says. You've always mattered. And finally, after all these years, I believe it. Matter. Not because of what I own but because of who I am. Because of how I love. Because of how I chose kindness when cruelty would have been easier. That's the real inheritance. Not the house. Not the money. The knowledge that I am enough. Always was.